I'd like to start by saying thank you to all of you guys who are part of the Swatch 150 journey so far. It's a lot of fun trying something new, sharing my watches, my personal Swatch collection, through to my Daytona, the Moon swatches, and today something very personal, which I'll explain in a moment. Now, of course, I'm learning as I go. I'm more familiar with filming cars, and as such, that means upgrading and changing camera gear as well. You might have been able to work out that the videos up to this point were all shot prior to the Where's Schmee tour that I did with some of my Italian Schmeemobiles. Well, today I want to talk about a watch that rewinds to, in fact, the car that's actually parked behind me. Now, if you followed the Schmee 150 journey, you'll know that my first ever car was one of these. Not this exact one, although I do own my original 2005 1.2 litre Renault Clio Dynamique. Unfortunately, that car met its end. It was involved in an accident, it got scrapped by insurance, and I own the metal wreck of what was my first ever car. And this is one that I bought that is identical to it in every possible way, exactly as per the car that I had back in 2005. Now, the reason that is relevant is because in that year, I purchased myself this, which was my first ever, what I'm going to call proper watch, a Tag Heuer 2000 Multigraph. Now, it was a watch I really had my eyes on at the time. I think it was about £1,000 or so. And obviously, if you can connect back the dots, I was about 17 at the time, and I'd been trading a lot online as a teenager. I'd been eBaying everything from my friends at school, their old mobile phones, gadgets, selling computers, you name it, anything. And I had a deal that went very, very well. And this was effectively my gift to myself, my first expensive thing I think I'd ever bought. I wore it all the way through from when I was 17 until I picked up my Daytona shortly after my 30th birthday. So this watch saw about 12 years of active operation, we can say. It's had a few services since. I've not actually worn it all that much in the last couple of years, but I want to bring you through kind of the unboxing of this watch. As I said, it was quite an exciting thing at the time, and you'll see as somebody who likes technology why this appealed to me back then. I have to say that this has got particularly sticky. It's not very pleasant. We've got some spare links. I've got the original receipt and guarantee card and instruction book all in here as well, which is quite fun actually to still have. But by keeping it in the box, it's not gone anywhere. In here, don't be too disappointed by this. No watch at the moment, but you've got your usual setup. Just the outside black, soft, squishy stuff has got super sticky, which is kind of ew, for whatever reason. I don't know why that's happened, given that it's been in the box the whole time, but alas, that's not too much of a problem because that is the box. It is currently in here, having gone about 3 years ago after I picked up the Daytona off for a full major service to have it massively cleaned up. And I always find it amazing how much of a good job these companies can do in restoring the appearance of a watch, because this looks almost brand new, slightly faded where the black parts are, but effectively the strap I think was replaced and refreshed, and the whole thing is looking magnificent. Now, what stands out about the 2000 Multigraph, which by modern standards is quite a small watch, obviously these things have grown and grown, is that at first you've got a very classic appearance. Everything is super simple, but with a quick flick of this, you effectively turn on the display behind. Now, at the time, I likened this system to what you would find in a Breitling, which would have obviously the bright yellow face, but keep the dials exposed, whereas on here they almost magically disappear behind. It's a super small, super light watch itself, and they did make a couple of different derivatives of these at the time, but you go through the different functionality. You've got your digital time, you've then got your seconds and the date, you've then got the day and the date. You can then turn it onto the timer, you can go through your second time, you can then flick to your chronograph, and you've got the two different functions of the stopwatch in there. Then you've got an alarm on it as well, which obviously makes a high-pitched beep, or you can turn it back and it goes off. It's super, super simple, but I love that. And to control the stopwatch functionality is a single press of the pusher on the side. Very, very easy, but otherwise it's very smart, and you have no idea that it offers that kind of level of functionality. Now, as I said, this is a very personal watch to me because obviously it kind of represented that teenage period of my life where I had done a lot of work outside of school to sell anything I could, to try and make some money, to try and understand the world of working before obviously arriving there for good. And this watch was really something that I treasured an awful lot through those next years. In terms of the strap, you have your traditional two parts, a little bit stiff. Just pop this open, not too much by way of adjustment, outside of just loosening it if you were to go diving or something like that and needing those extra 2 centimeters or so, but now massively cleaner than it was prior to the service. And to be honest, I need to send off my Daytona to do something similar with that. But overall, it looks almost new. And obviously nowadays it's, I suppose, in terms of design, it's a little bit dated. It's not up there with the current watches. But if you think about it, I was wearing this watch before I had one of those, which was a new car at the time. That's just going to date things a little bit. We're talking about a watch that is now over, gosh, are we over 17 years old? I've had this for over 17 years. That's crazy to me. That's really crazy to me. And little did I know at the time that I would go on to, you know, grow the cars a little bit more than I have the watches, although perhaps there's more to change on that front. But I do actually have the watches that I had before this as well, which maybe I'll share at some point. I just thought it was fun to pull this one out because sure, it's only going to be worth a couple of £100 now, but I think a watch tells a lot about a person. You know, the reason I chose to go for this was because I like that smart, elegant look, like with the 675 LT and the Ferrari SF90, but I also like the technology side of it. I like what it's capable of. I like the fact that it has those different options and settings and a little bit of intrigue as to how exactly it works. So it was the perfect watch, really, for me to pick up. Maybe I should just try and pop it on, which means removing my mission to the sun for a moment. I don't think I've actually put it on since returning from the service back when, but yeah, by modern standards, it's a really quite small and light watch on the wrist, but still a lovely one. So it's a bit of a story. That was my first, let's say, proper watch that I ever owned, a watch that links back to the oldest car, technically in the collection as well. That's it for, I guess, today. Let me know what you'd like to see next, and hopefully I've done some magic with some filming as well that you've enjoyed also.